Hello, welcome back to IT in Canada. I'm Michael O'Neill, and I'm joined again by Aldo Gallone, Canadian Cloud Lead for IBM Canada.
Good to be back, Michael.
Aldo, thank you so much for making more time to talk to us.
You're welcome.
In our last session, we talked quite a lot about cloud deployment. I wonder if we could move on a little bit and talk about cloud optimization.
Sure.
You're in a unique position in that your role with IBM gives you exposure to enough different cloud deployments to see what the keys are to increasing the efficiency and value of a cloud deployment over time. What, in your opinion, are the 2 or 3 steps or investments or processes that an IT manager needs to embrace in order to continue to ramp up the cloud after initial deployment?
Well, after initial deployment, I think where we start to see difficulty and where IT managers and business managers need to bear down is really around the process end. So again, it's around standardization. Once that standardization is done on what you're going to offer, the service catalog, and being very disciplined with what services you're going to offer your business users, it's how you re-engineer your IT processes and move your IT labor force from that provisioning and deployment exercise and those processes to higher value processes in the business. And that's where it can be fraught with challenges, right? That has to be done if you're going to get the IT productivity benefits. And similarly, in terms of the business processes, you know, it's great to be able to provision services in real time, but if your business approval cycle is several weeks as opposed to several minutes or a day, you're not going to accrue those business benefits that you want. So again, it's around how do you re-engineer those business processes to take advantage now of this really slick automated infrastructure called cloud. And once you do that, you really unlock business value, because for me, it's all about, you know, what I've seen is the unlocking of latent demand. Business users haven't probably been, and this is a little risky, but business users haven't been probably as innovative as they probably could be, or creative, because of it. Sometimes getting IT services falls in the too hard bucket. Now, if you remove that too hard syndrome from business provisioning, all of a sudden now it unlocks the creativity of business users. They start to use IT in manners that the business hadn't foreseen, and unlocks that what I call that latent demand, and therefore that's where you get the innovation and agility.
Now, that's very interesting, because it would seem to push a lot of the responsibility back onto executive management. If you remove the difficulty and the time required to source IT resources, then it would seem like your ability to take advantage of the agility benefits of cloud would now depend on the ability of the organization to map its innovation processes to this new reduced cycle time around opportunity for automation.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. I mean, the excuse of IT has now been removed, right? That weakest link in the chain is now removed, and now business executives have to really stare in the mirror and determine and make sure that they're best of breed in terms of how they make decisions, how they innovate, and how quickly they do so. So yes, I absolutely agree with you, and this now will separate, because what we've really done is removed a barrier to entry to innovation, right? And that's what will be very interesting in terms of now leveling the playing field with smaller companies and larger companies, right? Because that barrier to entry of IT has been removed on several different layers, and now those larger companies, well, all companies in general, have to be really honest about how quickly they innovate, and that pressure then falls back on them.
What does this do to the role that IT plays in the business process of enabling new applications and new activities within the organization? Does the fundamental role of IT professionals change?
I believe so. I believe that, again, part of moving the IT labor force up the food chain to higher valued roles goes beyond just the traditional definition of IT. And now really it becomes an IT business bridge, right? IT professionals are very fluent in process, so they play a very critical role in helping to re-engineer the business processes to allow and further enable the businesses to innovate.
That's another interesting point. IT professionals may be fluent in process, but they're not immune to the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that accompanies a change in role or requirement or opportunity. Our research results show that IT professionals are not more reticent to embrace cloud than business executives or end users, but it shows that they're not less reticent to embrace it either. What have you seen your successful customers do to move their IT labor force to these higher value activities?
Well, that's a very good point, Michael. And actually, it goes beyond the IT organization's culture. It goes to business culture in general. So when a business has a culture of trust in their employees, of retraining, of one in which it's all for one and one for all, and you've got the trust seeping from executive layers down through middle management down to the professional levels, then you get that change to happen. Everybody's bought in because people aren't worried about losing their jobs. They're trusting the organization to retrain them, move them up the food chain, and so that they continue to add value. When you have that breakdown, however, is when you see that reticence of IT to move forward, even though they know, within their hearts and minds that it's the right thing to do. They're not going to be the ones leading the charge.
I think that's a great segue to my last question, the notion that enlightened HR policies help to move organizations more rapidly down the cloud adoption and optimization path. Let me expand the perspective and ask, if you had just one or two key lessons learned to share with IT managers who are looking to operate in a cloud-inclusive environment in the best possible fashion, what would you point to?
Yeah, so I come back to an earlier point is around the IT textbook, right? So the sexiness of cloud does not, and people wanting to get to cloud does not mean that you stop using those first principles of IT and making the decisions of what workloads to move, what the ROI cases need to be, and when to move them, right? So that IT textbook. But then coming back to just a latter point, it's really around organizational change, right? At the end of the day, cloud is a fundamental shift in IT and business paradigm, one that we haven't seen in 30 years, in my opinion, and that means that the companies that really take advantage of cloud are ones that are going to be very, very good at change in general, business change, organizational change, and they'll have to have the underlying HR policies and trust within their culture to get the most out of that change.
That's interesting that a technology revolution would require IT management to focus really on organizational issues rather than individual technologies in enabling that change.
Yeah, I really don't think that is that radical point. We've seen it before in the big move to systems outsourcing in 10, 15 years ago. Really, that was about organizational change. That was around HR policies. And the ones that really did it well had a lot of those attributes and traits. And I think that this is now, the move to cloud is that on steroids, because it now touches many more organizations, small to large, and for me, it has a much bigger impact in terms of the economics of delivering IT, but more importantly, around the agility and business benefits. I think that the agility and business benefits that we're seeing from the move to cloud is much greater than we saw in the move to outsource.
That's terrific. Thank you very much. On behalf of IT in Canada, I'm Michael O'Neill with Aldo Gallone. Thanks so much.